I think for me, sharing is really important in the shifting of consciousness. It's really important in getting a new idea across where, wow, like I'm giving people permission to talk about these things. And I've received so much positive feedback from saying like, wow, like, thank you so much for being open and honest and truthful and authentic and just who you are in all aspects of your life, because it's given me permission to do the same.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Looking Up podcast. One of the reasons why I love doing this show, and I've been so happy every time I leave an episode, is because of the wonderful people that I meet. This episode is no exception. Miki Agrawal is a force. I left her house feeling so energized that I could actually run through a wall. I mean, this woman's incredible. She started 3 companies. First, Wild Foods, which brought gluten-free and organic options to one of our favorite foods, pizza and pasta. 2, Thinx, which created one of the first period-proof underwears that actually works. And 3rd, her most recent startup, Tushy, which is selling bidets to the average consumer at a $65 price point, saving them money on toilet paper and saving the environment and their health at the same time. Miki's track record in entrepreneurship is interesting to me because she goes where no one else will go, but not only that, she goes where people won't even talk. Subjects that people won't even discuss. Taboos. Think about periods. Before Miki started Thinx, the idea of publicly discussing a period or even posting advertisements about periods, even in a progressive city like New York City, was absolutely verboten. She changed that. She fought the fight, and Thinx advertisements were all over the subways in New York years ago. Tushy, another concept, nobody wants to talk about what they do in the bathroom. I can't even say it explicitly right now. We talk about it in the episode. But there's obviously issues, and we've been doing the same thing in the bathroom for hundreds of years. So it's incredible that Miki's changing it up. We talk about a ton of interesting subjects. Miki's also an author. She wrote a book most recently called DisruptHER, which is about breaking through the patriarchy and empowering women entrepreneurs. I'm really excited to read that one. And before that, she wrote a book called Do Cool Shit, which is how to build your own career, your own life, design the life that you want. We talk about sharing authentically, taboos, her definition of integrity. And then we also dive deep into a discussion around EM radiation and how that's being swept under the radar, but we're all exposed to it through Wi-Fi and 5G. It's a really interesting conversation, and I'm so grateful that Miki joined me. I hope that you enjoy the episode. There's more information on Miki and her projects in the bio, in the information section below the podcast. So without further ado, Miki Agrawal. Thank you, Miki, for coming on the show today. Taking a leap of faith on me. I know that it's a new podcast. You've never heard one episode before, and you've been invited to a lot of interviews.
Yeah, it's true.
So I really appreciate it, and I appreciate you taking the time to hang out.
Of course.
So, look up's a little bit about digital wellness and humane tech, or our interaction with technology in the modern age. And, obviously you have a ton of accomplishments, but since we're limited on time, I wanted to just talk to you a little bit about your relationship with social media. Mm-hmm. I've noticed that you post a lot of your life. You share a lot with those who follow you, and you have a public account. Mm-hmm. So I guess, why do you share so intimately with strangers?
I think because it gives people another sort of data point on what is acceptable in the world and in society. And I think that we've lived in a world where we've had to follow rules, and we've had to follow a set of guidelines based on our parents, based on their parents, based on what our, what society says, based on what our teachers say, based on what we've just been indoctrinated to believe. And I think it's so hard for people to get away from that, because the indoctrination runs so deep. including wiping your ass with dry paper, which is a project that I'm really excited about, breaking that sort of indoctrination, and instead of using dry paper, using fresh water. But it's just, for me, I just think that, I grew up in a very open sort of, Indian Japanese, so traditional, but very open sort of ideas, sort of allowing of flowing of ideas. And there was I never felt inhibited. I never felt I couldn't talk about things. I could just talk about anything. And I feel like when I came from Montreal to New York City specifically, especially, and then going into business, and then realizing that, oh wow, wait, you can't talk, having these conversations about poop or periods or pee, even gluten-free pizza, my first business, like
wild, right?
Wild, yeah. And which I still have 4 locations. People didn't want to talk about food, or don't tell me how to eat. I eat how I eat, and everything. Don't tell me how to, manage my period. Don't tell me that I should spray water up my butt. Like, no, it's not up your butt. It's like on your butt. And it's, poop sprays everywhere. You're like, no.
There's
poop is
no
not
spray.
Spraying everywhere. It's actually pulling the poop into the...
I've used a Tushy before.
Yeah.
We got my sister one for her she's going to kill me, 37th birthday.
Why is she going to kill you? See, that's another thing, ageism.
Not ageism, because I'm forgetting which birthday it was.
Amazing.
But you're right. Age doesn't matter.
It does not matter. Yeah. So, so Tushy, just so, those who will be listening, Tushy is just simply a modern bidet that clips onto your existing toilet and turns any toilet into a bidet. And we've been in this country decimating 15 million trees per year just for toilet paper consumption. 15 billion trees are cut down every single year just for human consumption. A couple of billion of which are just pretty much paper product, most of which 100 million are disposable paper products. So it's really ridiculous what we're doing to our planet. And I think just sharing it from the lens of a disruptive product and disruptive innovation and disruptive thinking is really important to get people to think about it. I think based on the businesses that I've started, co-founded, and built, the conversation on periods are completely shifted. When I started, nobody wanted to talk about it. I was uncouth talking about it, and the more I talked about it, the more I shed light on it. Why is this shameful? Why is this taboo? Why are we not allowed to talk about it? I don't get it. All of a sudden, people were like, yeah, wait, I don't get it either. Why am I supposed to like slip my tampon in my arm sleeve and not, and like kind of quietly go to the bathroom when every human being is here because of a woman's period? Why should I like have to run into the bathroom, wipe my ass as fast as possible and get out of there pretending like I never took a shit? Meanwhile, we all shit, and so
everybody poops.
Everybody poops. And so, I think for me, sharing is really important in the shifting of consciousness. It's really important in getting a new idea across where, wow, like I'm giving people permission to talk about these things. And I've received so much positive feedback from saying like, wow, like, thank you so much for being open and honest and truthful and authentic and just who you are in all aspects of your life, because it's given me permission to do the same. And for me, like, that's enough. I mean, if even one life is shifted for the better because of what I share, then I'll keep sharing. I'm not sharing it for ego. I'm not sharing it for anything but fun, and also to help shift consciousness. And it's a fun sort of journal documenting your life. I think I want to save them for Hero.
Yes. Hero, your son. How old's Hero?
Hero is 20 months.
Oh, he's so cute.
I
just met him.
And he's so happy.
I feel so lucky.
Yeah, he's the happiest kid in the world. And I feel like, when you have a kid, it's also, everything is fresh. You look at everything with a fresh pair of eyes again with him, with your child. And it's just like, wow, imagine if we can morph the world in a completely different way where there is no shame, where there is nothing that's off the limits to talk about, where we can address anything, talk about anything, and nothing becomes weird. There's just so many boundaries that society's put on us that make us live inauthentic lives, which is why I think so many people are depressed, are unhappy, are just dissatisfied with their lives.
That dull
dissatisfaction.
Yeah, that undertone of maybe sadness or shame. There's so much to unpack there, so thank you for that. I want to I don't even know where to go next, but what is a taboo, and why do we have taboos? Why do they even exist?
I mean, taboo is just stuff that are, again, uncomfortable to talk about, something that's forbidden, something that, should be kept behind closed doors. And they've been put in place genuinely for like power dynamic structures, so that, for example, talking about money is considered tacky amongst the mass population, but amongst very wealthy, they talk about money openly. And so it's acceptable in those places. Whereas amongst regular people, you've been taught not to talk about it, because that just creates that separation between the haves and have-nots, and those who can talk about it, those who can't. It's just all power. It's all power.
If you knew how much your CEO is making and you asked, then maybe you'd be a little bit disappointed. I guess at most public companies.
Yeah, I mean,
the gap.
There is a big gap there for sure, and I think also, it's actually fascinating to really unpack all of the biases that you actually have within yourself. I mean, talking about money, talking about relationships, monogamous relationship is the only way to go in this societally acceptable culture. Is it or is it not? I mean, I'm in a monogamous relationship. I'm happily in a monogamous relationship, but I don't think I'm allowed or entitled to judge anyone who isn't. Like being gay just not too long ago was considered taboo and not allowed. I mean, today it's different because people are talking about it. People are getting up and sharing like, this is bullshit. Like, I'm a human being. I have rights. I can choose who I love. And I think all those topics are taboo, even talking about the patriarchy or feminism, those conversations are fraught with connotation. And very taboo to talk about. Oh, if you are trying to, in quotes, fight the patriarchy, that means you hate men. Yeah. Or if you are a feminist, that you're also man-hating. Or, to me, I think like most men and women are victims of the patriarchy. I think it's only a select few power-hungry men who have decided to, who wanted to control and dominate, and the rest basically got in line. So I think, going back to the word taboo, I think it's just that it's something that's not okay to talk about in a public setting, but can be talked about in private, sort of more upper echelon settings.
And would you say that awareness is probably or potentially one of the kind of foundations of the work that you do as an entrepreneur and as a writer?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I think that talking about this stuff, like elevating the conversation by simply talking about it, is what will break the taboo, what will change the way these conversations are had. I mean, the fact that with my most recent company, Tushy, and by the way, do not go to tushy.com. It's a very graphic porn site. Okay. Very graphic porn site.
I'll make sure I get the right
go
link
to
down.
hellotushy.com. hellotushy.com. Yeah, so before, nobody talked about poop. People were like, and now it's like a dinner table conversation all the time. I mean, we have, we've sold millions and millions of dollars worth of product. And so we just like, people are like loving talking about it. People have dinner parties to show off their tushy, and talk about it, because it's just permission. It's given people permission to talk about things that everybody does. And it's weird not to. Like, everybody has to make money in order to survive. So why can't we talk about it? Everyone poops, everyone pees, everyone
farts.
Farts. Women have periods.
Like, women fart.
Women fart
Shocker.
too. Oh yeah, we do. We do. Especially when you eat broccoli and cauliflower. And it's really simple. You just talk about it.
And so you're sharing your truth on social media. I guess what is truth to you? What does it mean?
Truth is integrity, and integrity means what you're thinking, feeling, and saying have to align. So often what we're thinking in our heads and what we're actually saying out of our mouth is completely different. What we're feeling in our hearts and what we're saying out of our mouths are completely different. I can see you and I can be like, oh, hey, out of my mouth, but in my head, I can have some judgments, whatever. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's not an integrity, right? So being integrity is saying, hey, like this happened. it hurt me. Let's talk about it. Right? That's being in integrity, because what I'm thinking, feeling, and saying are in alignment. A lot of people think that they're good people and that they're honest people, but they're completely out of integrity. And that's what integrity is to me. And that's what's truthful to me.
It's alignment. So it doesn't matter what is coming up for you necessarily. It's more about
what you're saying matches what you're thinking and feeling.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and say what I'm thinking right now is, what is the next question that I'm going to ask? And I'm having a hard time, really focusing on your words, because I wrote all these questions down, and listened to you on other podcasts and have so much that I know that you can share with the listeners here. And I'm just like, instead of listening to the words that are coming out of your mouth, I'm just like looking to my notebook, like, what's the next question that I'm going to ask?
Love that. I love that. And that's truthful. And that makes me like have a connection with you more, because I'm like, then we can say, okay, great. Let's just keep rolling and flowing and having a conversation.
Yeah.
And it'll
I'm gonna
flow
close
better.
The notebook.
Yeah. Great. There you go. Freedom. Yeah. Yeah.
So I want to know, I want to know more about your relationship with Hero.
Yeah.
And I want to know, how, because this is partially about our relationship to technology, this podcast, and I really want to focus on that. So you're a mother. What kind of relationship do you want Hero to have with technology?
Well, first is I'm very, very heavily deeply into looking at the electromagnetic radiation that's coming from all of our devices and the Wi-Fi and our phones. I actually just I bought a reader that reads RF radio frequency.
Wow.
And you can just see how much like a sort of pollution that we have, smog from electromagnetic radiation, and we don't even know it because they're invisible. And so I'm very, very aware of what this smog pollution is. And so for me, my phone is mostly always on airplane mode unless I'm using it. And we turn our Wi-Fi off. We unplug our Wi-Fi every night to give our bodies a rest. I mean, you really need to. There's a film called Generation Zapped that everyone should watch.
I'll post the link.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that.
And it's really about how we are being exposed to electromagnetic radiation to the tune of 10 billion times more today than since the 1960s.
And 5G is coming.
And 5G is coming, which is the most dangerous. It's 1,000 times stronger than 3G, 4G towers. And because they're short wave radiation waves, they're putting these towers every few blocks because they have to power. They're saying like, people get faster speed. It's like, we have fast speed. Yeah. We don't need faster speed. And it's just, again, a money making thing. And those who are going to suffer are our children.
Not only do we have fast speed, but what are we using that speed for?
Just for bullshit browsing. 90% of it is bullshit. Really, there's no intentionality anymore. And the incentives around, what, like, for example, with Facebook and Instagram, their incentives are how long can we keep somebody on our platform, and what can we do to keep people on over and over again, which is why, my friends Tristan and Max have started, working on this thing called Center for Humane Technology, which is really all about how do we use technology in a way that's really productive and not just like another drug, like addiction. And, for example, like there's a smart meter. So smart meters emit exorbitant amounts of radiation. So smart meters are basically like what the Con Ed, they're trying to go and replace all the meters inside people's homes with these smart meters, which basically can read your meter, not having to come in like in person and read it in person. And so,
and collect data
and collect data, of course. And so, and these things are supposed to like kind of like operate like maybe like once a day, but they are literally like sending signals 200 times a minute. And so it's just these are like huge, powerful things right on people's homes, and people are getting brain fog. People are getting brain like really bad headaches from it, which could then eventually cause real brain damage, heart issues, their gut issues. There's so many issues are coming from it. My neighbors, both of them on either side, just had smart meters installed in their right outside their homes, and I brought my electro reader outside, and it was going nuts.
Oh my
God. So I'm petitioning them to remove them, for they have young children, both of them, and they just don't know. People do not know. And it's like an inconvenient truth, because we are all addicted to our technology. So for me with Hero, he is not allowed to watch any TV. He's not allowed to watch anything. He watches only when we're traveling. Okay. So when we're in transit, he's allowed to watch educational song videos and stuff like that. But every night, our Wi-Fi's off, our technology's off. Our cell phones are all on airplane mode. I actually installed a landline phone.
Yes.
And I'm going to actually wire my whole house, and so that the Wi-Fi isn't just coursing through the house all day long. And children in France, all over Europe, they are banning Wi-Fi for children under 5 years old because of they're realizing the effects of what the EMF radiation is doing, and because it's invisible and because it's so convenient for us, people are just trying to be like, oh, those are tinfoil hat wearing crazies who aren't thinking about it. But it's actually like 190 scientists went to the World Health Organization. Like I said, because people are addicted. People do not want to believe that they have to stay off their phones, that they're completely addicted to. So for me, like when I'm sharing stuff on social media, I intentionally share something that I want to share, and then I turn my phone on airplane mode.
Do you ever get caught in, what am I going to call it? It's just basically you open your phone to share, and then all of a sudden, before you know it, 20, 30 minutes have gone by and you've gone through like 5 or 10 different apps and checking out everybody's stuff.
No. I've actually, I don't check Facebook anymore. I don't even, I'm not on Facebook really. Instagram is the only thing that I do, and I do Insta story, which is I just storied like what I want to talk about. Yeah. And then the only people I check are some of my friends. I just see what they're up to for the day, and then that's it. But it's really a few minutes. A day. For me, it's really about sharing, and so and
it's such a powerful tool for that, right? You use social media to get your message out, right? And the messages that flow through you,
and then the ones I intentionally want to follow and learn about and read and hear what they're doing, I look at their things. But it's not just I'm just like scrolling endlessly at infinitum. It's actually like, I want to see what my sister's doing. I want to see what these friends are doing. I want to see what, that's it. And then I just kind of like check out some of those things, and then I'm off my phone. And I try to keep my phone as far away from me as possible. Like right now, my phone's in airplane mode. I don't need it on.
And when our phones are in our presence, actually, our IQ goes down.
It's true.
I think it's like 15 points or something like that. That might be crazy, but
and also it actually, like, we are all like, our cells are interconnected through an electric field. Like the electrons are circling, like the molecules in our body are held together by an electric field. And so for people to say that, like, oh, cell phones are non-ionizing radiation, and which means that it doesn't penetrate the electron wall in the cells, and therefore it's not harmful to the human body, is they're measuring these from 1996 when the regulations were set, when only 16% of Americans had cell phones. And there were no smart meters or no tablets or no Wi-Fi. There was nothing. So people were like, oh, well, that was set back then. So therefore, it's non-ionizing radiation. It's not taking into account the fact that humans are on their phones 2/3 of their lives at astronomical levels. On average, 9 hours a day.
9 hours a day. Okay.
9 hours a day, average American.
Wow. That's up from, I'm interviewing Adam Alter, who wrote Irresistible.
Well, 9 hours a day on screens. On screens.
Yes, including computers.
Computer, which is that's still Wi-Fi. You're still being coursed. It's coursing
and
through your
putting
body.
it on your lap.
On your
lap.
lap.
I put my computer on my lap all the time. It's
a terrible idea. It's a terrible idea.
It's like almost too late.
I would watch Generation Zapped. It's for the skeptics. I was a big time skeptic about this stuff too, because I was like, oh, I can't see it. I can't feel it. But then I bought the actual like an RF reader, which is like the data doesn't lie. And when you put it on and you just see the amount of like electromagnetic radiation around you, it does make you think, like, look at all of your rooms, look at your spaces, look at what you're connecting to your house, Bluetooth. I mean, Internet of Things, there's going to be 80 billion devices connected to each other by 2020. 80 billion. I mean, that's a crazy number.
It's massive.
And which means that when you walk into your house, like your Bluetooth and your cell and your like, like your Alexa and your even like your toaster and your heater, and everything is now going to be connected to Wi-Fi, which means that you can't escape it. And it's called an electromagnetic soup, that we're literally in an e-soup. And so, and because you can't see it, people think that, oh, it doesn't hurt us. But it's just like, it's like if you're eating peanuts all day long, like eventually, like, and if you're like, eventually it's too much of anything. Yeah, exactly. If you're eating, exactly. Too much of anything is a bad thing. Yeah. So it's just the level in which we are exposed to this stuff is astronomical. So for me, like I'm very aware of all of it, especially since I have a young son. I also have I'm a sensitive heart. I have a sensitive thyroid as a result of my thyroid. That's why my heart's sensitive. And so I'm just very careful with what I have around my body.
How does that show up for you, sensitive thyroid? Is it like a lump in your throat often?
No, for me, it's just my heart is sort of like, it pounds a little bit harder. And so I can tell when I need to meditate or take a breath.
That's just not because you're working so hard.
I mean, I think it has to do with electromagnetic radiation, big time for sure.
Well, our hearts are electromagnetic generators,
it is.
right?
That's exactly it. It's all we're
electric motor.
That's exactly what we all are, and so I think that's why for me, like you saw that white keyboard thing that I've put in my key. All those things are just basically blocking and I'm just seeing how I just got them, so I'm just seeing how I feel.
So this is relatively new for you. This whole
no. I've had a thyroid thing before I gave birth here,
but the exploration of electromagnetic radiation.
Yes.
It's so funny because when I consider, humane technology and digital wellness, I'm mostly thinking about our attention and the way that our attention is constantly bombarded.
But it's like ADD, ADHD, melatonin levels, blood-brain barrier effects. It's like, these are all things that are the EMF radiation does, in addition to the fact that it fucks our attention up.
Yeah.
It's all of it.
It's an entirely new angle. I mean, it's not only a bombardment of our minds, it's a bombardment of our bodies.
Yes.
And it's this giant experiment that we have seemingly no agency over.
Right.
Or
we
very
don't
little agency over.
Because if people literally just bought a meter and had it in their homes, they would freak out. Because it's you can't escape it unless you really do something about it. And so this home, when I walk into my home, I know that it's a safe haven. I know that it's literally on the green, but it's, level, which is like safe.
And what's sad to me is this conversation that we're having right now, it's like the tinfoil hat stuff, right? Like there will be
people saying,
oh, this is ridiculous.
It's not, but that's the thing.
This isn't science, right? Is good science being done on this subject?
It is. That's 190 scientists from around the world went to the World Health Organization and literally showed the clear evidence showing that EMF radiation and health issues. One of them, like I said,
what happened? Was this just ignored?
It's telecommunications companies have such crazy lobbying, like billions of dollars worth of lobbying, and they're all a revolving door. So it's someone who makes the actual decisions at the FCC worked at the top telecommunications company. So they're all interconnected.
This seems to be the issue with pretty much everywhere. Industry.
That's the thing. It's like cigarette industry, the big tobacco, the big sugar. All these industries were all initially like cigarettes. Cigarettes are fine. Like doctors are smoking them. Everyone is saying, and then all of a sudden, 30 years later, anxiety. It's the same thing. People don't want to believe. People don't want to believe it because they don't. But now the science is that Dr. Martin Powell from Washington State University did a huge study on the voltage gated calcium channels on our cells. So our cells, on top of them, they basically have these little gates, these gates that open and close that allow protein to exit, allow, calcium to come in and whatever, things like that. And it's all based on voltage because our bodies are electromagnetic fields. And so when there's too much radiation, that's like right near our bodies constantly, it basically,
and for men,
right by our testicles. Yeah,
exactly.
So it's huge. These voltage gated calcium channels basically stay open for too long, which floods the cells with too much calcium, which then could oxidize the cells, which then oxidation is one of the things that cause cancer, and so it's like, these are all real studies that again are buried because for every study that comes out that talks about this, the telecom companies puts out 5-10 articles saying these guys are hacks, these guys are tinfoil hat wearing quacks, like stay on your phones, like this is technology, we're advancing the world, these people are trying to keep us behind. Do you know that there has been 0 actual studies done in America to understand the health effects of cell phones and radiation? 0. And from a actual like governing body, from telecommunications governing with the government body, because the problem is that from the 1996 when the TCA Act was formed, they did the testing for, again, 16% of Americans had cell phones. There were those big cell phones that nobody,
totally different.
Different.
This cell phone, I think, can process the same amount of information that the lunar module would process in 681 days.
It's ridiculous. So and the other thing about the TCA Act,
have a supercomputer,
the Telecommunications Act of 1996, and if you read it, it's literally in plain print. It talks about how the 2 things. One is if if anything from any cell phone tower or our cell phones causes any adverse health effects, all telecommunication companies are absolved of any responsibility. So basically, they have zero accountability. That's number one. That's in the act. And the second thing in the act is if a tower goes up in your neighborhood and you show adverse health effects based on all of a sudden it goes up and you're starting to have like heart palpitations, brain fog issues, you cannot actually ask them to take it down. Like that is in the TCA Act. I mean, you have to lobby really hard, and
it's a public good, right?
It's a public good. That's it. And so it's just like they say that like, oh, the like what good that it does for the community, it basically supersedes what it does for an individual. But people don't know that it's affecting everybody. It's something that people just want to have it kept in the dark because it's just too convenient for us all.
Well, it's the same.
And we're all
it's the same
like
thing.
The cigarette people.
Yes, exactly.
It's not
until
there's people.
lung
Everyone's
cancer
dying.
Comes.
That's the thing. But
right?
like the
we're
problem
so reactive.
is that the children. I know, but it's too late by then. For us with children are being exposed to it from day zero, right? So by the time they're 20. They're going to start showing some even earlier. It takes 10 years before people can get brain cancer potentially, right? But like by the time they're 20, there will be exorbitant amounts of health effects for young people.
I hope
and that's
not.
what we don't want to have happen. And this is the work that all these scientists are trying to prevent. And everyone's saying, don't not go forward with technology. Technology is important to keep moving everything forward. Fine.
Of course.
But do it safely.
You're an entrepreneur. I'm a venture capital investor. I've been an entrepreneur twice. We care about technology.
Do it
we care
safely,
about moving things
do
forward.
It safely.
Yeah.
And that's it. And like test it. Make sure it works for you because guess what? You, the person who's funding it, are being affected by it too.
Well, what I find so interesting, in this book, Irresistible, most technologists in Silicon Valley do not allow their children to have exposure to these devices. Right?
Exactly. It's like, why?
Never get high on your own supply.
Exactly.
Right? It's crazy.
Exactly. And in Silicon Valley, they're like, oh, they're all putting EMF things all over their stuff. Like it's true. It's like they're putting EMF precautionary like barriers around different things in Silicon Valley. So obviously they know what's going on. And so it's exactly, and the children, exactly. Like they're trying to, they're preventing their children from using it, but they're telling everyone else to use it.
It's so frustrating, it almost feels, we have so many, it's just like the attention crisis, right? Like in our country, it's subtle. And when there's something subtle where the consequences are felt over a long period of time, we don't act.
It's like the environment.
We need a catalyst.
The environment, 46% of trees have been decimated on Earth. Like literally 15 billion trees are cut down every single year.
For what?
For what? For the dumbest,
paper.
for shit that doesn't
For
even actually
literal
clean.
shit.
And actually it doesn't even clean you. 30 million combined cases of chronic urinary tract infections, hemorrhoids, anal fissures, anal itching. All of that is caused and exacerbated by toilet paper. Because literally, would you use dry paper on any other dirty part of your body? Never. If you jumped in your shower and not turn the water on, would you, and just use dry paper to like wipe your dirty bits? Would you be like, I'm clean? It's like, of course not. Like,
and it's literally the dirtiest part of your body.
It's like the dirt, and you're like taking dry paper and smearing it up into your butt. Like it's causing 30 million cases of chronic anal itching, hemorrhoids, like urinary tract infections, because it basically creeps up to the women's vaginal canal because all that E. coli. All that infection and bacteria stays there. It's just ridiculous.
And
it's
previously, it was
indoctrination.
inaccessible for the average person to, you have these beautiful. I go to Asia all the time. These Toto toilets everywhere.
Of course, but they're like thousands of dollars.
The butt warmers on
exactly.
the seat.
And my
so
product
nice.
is $69. So the idea is that
incredible.
What is disruptive innovation? Disruptive innovation is an innovation that creates a new market, which eventually overtakes an existing market. Right? You think about like
$69, and how long does that product last? Because I'm thinking about like
it lasts
how much I pay on toilet
years,
paper a year.
Years and years, like 5, 10, whatever. For my products have lasted me like 5 years, and I bought. I started with the prototypes years ago.
That's great.
And so you think about the Model T car, right? So like before cars became readily available, before it disrupted the horse and buggy category, cars existed, but for the very wealthy, and so it didn't disrupt the category. Only a few people had it. But as soon as a Model T car came into existence, everyone could afford it, and therefore it completely disrupted the horse and buggy category. So similarly, in the bidet world, right now, toilet paper is what's affordable to the masses, and is what's been acceptable and what's been taught by our grandparents and great grandparents since the 1890s. And so using water is, first of all, very foreign to us. No one understands it. One of the only main reasons why Americans haven't adopted the bidet is because A, a French person invented it and English hated the French. And B, during World War II, when American soldiers went to Europe and would fight in World War II, they would go to French brothels and they would see bidets in French brothels. And they associated bidets as something sexual and dirty. And so they came back and they were like, we were never in brothels. We think it's disgusting. We're not.
It always comes back to sex.
It's just so annoying. Like... Yeah. And it's just like, meanwhile, everyone is here because of it. Without it, we wouldn't be here. So that's another insane taboo. That's just like, wait, all of a sudden we've decided that breasts are sexual things.
Oh my God.
And it's like ridiculous.
It's absurd.
The fact that breastfeeding videos have been banned on social media and like showing a nipple. This is a perfect example. So Cher, right? Cher had a daughter who is now trans.
Cher of Sonny and Cher.
Cher, yeah. Cher,
Cher the
icon, the singer.
What did she sing?
Do you believe in life after love?
Okay,
yeah,
cool,
and all
cool.
the other songs, right? So her daughter transitioned from man to woman, right? So it's transgender. Great, more power to him. Perfect thing is that they did a before after because he got the breast removal operation where he got his breasts removed.
Oh, so it was woman to man.
To man.
Breast removal. Okay.
So they showed a before after picture of Cher's now son, what he looked like before and after of his top surgery, and the breasts were X'd out and his top as a man were not. And it was like the most
ridiculous.
Telling, obvious thing. It's like the same person, just because when he was a woman, you had to like blur out the nipples, but the same exact nipples with the fat removed are now considered acceptable for people to see.
It's ridiculous.
And the only reason why men have been allowed to show their nipples, because they had to cover their nipples too back in the day, but then they fought and they lobbied and they picketed to have that rule changed.
Like in the 20s. In the 20s and 30s, you see men's bathing suits where they had a top as well. That's
and then
they
lobbied to basically have that removed. So men got the ability to be topless and not women. And it's like so ridiculous. I mean, for me, like,
well, because God forbid you had your boobs out, right? We wouldn't be able to control ourselves.
It's just,
we're just so incapable of self-control.
And in Africa and many parts of the world, their indigenous populations, it doesn't matter. They're
even in Europe, you go to a beach and you can have your boobs out.
It's a vehicle to feed your child. It's like, for us, over-sexualization of body parts that we've again decided which part is sexual is ridiculous. I mean, literally out of our vaginas, pee comes out, babies come out,
it's
and all
incredible.
Of a sudden we can't show that because it's sexual because we've decided. It's just so ridiculous.
I know, but
it's
baby steps, right? Like baby steps.
Yeah.
Because I admit, I think I mentioned this to you before. I grew up with two older sisters. I grew up in a house with three women.
Right.
Everyone cycled together, including me. Like it was not taboo within the house, but here I am, an adult male, and the idea of talking about a period and the idea of breastfeeding on social media makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable.
Well, then that's exactly what you should be, why it's important for us to have this conversation.
Yeah.
So you have to self-reflect and say, wow, that the indoctrination is so deep.
So deep.
It's so deep that I have to let myself watch it over. Like, I suggest you watch Empowered Birth Project on social media, which is an incredible, it basically shows babies being birthed out of a vagina.
Well, I passed out during the Miracle of Life video in high school, so I'm just I'm a blood person. Like,
if you
blood
watch,
tests make me pass out.
Excuse me, if you watch all this gory shit you just said,
true, I know.
you watch this on TV, and you can't do that.
One's more real than the other.
It's compartmentalizing, and that to me also needs to get completely blown out, blown open. So for me, like, before I gave birth, I started watching Empowered Birth Project on social media, and at first I was like, oh, gross, weird. And seeing a baby's head come out of a vagina, it was so. And now I'm so like empowered by it. I think it's so powerful what women go through, like how all humans, if
so much strength to go through something like that.
Like, it's so magical. And I think it's about seeing something and talking about something over and over again until you're desensitized by it. But my husband, when we first started dating, was like, oh, periods, haha. And then now he's like talking to women, being like, so do you have period proof underwear, or do you have like period stains, on your underwear in the back of your drawer? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And women are like, what? And then like,
I used to see those as a child, right? Like,
exactly.
And it was totally like normal. It was not taboo.
That's the thing. But it's taboo for you now, right?
Yeah,
so
it's crazy.
So it's just really about everyone needs to check in with their own biases and see, like, which is why for me, like, being intentional about what I follow and who I follow, like Empowered Birth Project, really gives me the space and freedom to really like allow myself to no longer be weirded out by something that's so human and so normal and so natural. So now again, it's a perfect example. I went from being like, oh my God, this is so crazy gross, I can't even believe this baby's coming, to now being like, fuck yeah, woman, you got this. Like, you know, I'm being so empowered by it. So it's a perfect example of that.
What does the start of a movement look like? Like a new category, a new way of thinking? Like what?
I think it's really talking about these taboo subjects. I really do. I mean, I think, you know, what's a blue ocean category? What's a white space? A blue ocean is basically when there's no other competition. And why is there no other competition? Because nobody's talking about it. You know, huge business opportunity, multi-billion-dollar business opportunities. For me, I just stumbled upon these because I've had personal pain points, period accidents every month. I hated pooping because I would have to jump in the shower and use exorbitant amounts of toilet paper and wet the toilet paper and then wipe my butt with the wet toilet paper. It was just such a process for me.
I still struggle to find the right toilet paper as well.
It's just disgusting. You probably have a hairy butt, and so as a result, well, because you're, I don't know, you can tell, and so as a result, you probably have little bits of poop and toilet paper stuck in there constantly.
Dingleberries,
it's it's true, and it's disgusting. It's so gross. And so it's like to use water is critical for everyone, because like if you're a woman, you want to keep yourself clean down there because you don't want it to crawl up into your vagina and cause urinary tract infections, E. coli, etc. For men, dingleberries, your anal itching, all this stuff down there, disgusting. There's a study that conducted where 1,000 men's underwear were taken and reviewed, and 100% of them had poop stains and like fecal matter on them.
I think it's not Amy Poehler. Amy Schumer maybe talks about this in one of her stand-ups. You know, she's like, I've seen your underwear, guys. Like, I know
disgusting.
What it looks like.
Yeah.
It's like, it's absolutely disgusting. Yeah. I know. I think we're running over. I wish that we had more time. Thank you, Miki. This is so fun. Maybe we can do this again sometime.
Totally, definitely.
Okay, cool.
Keep it going.
I feel like we're just getting into the juicy stuff now.
Yeah.
I'll post, you know, your socials underneath, but where can people follow you? How can people find you? You know, let's list off the companies real quick.
Yeah. If you want to check out my restaurants, go to eatdrinkwild.com. They're gluten-free farm-to-table pizza restaurants.
My favorite food, pizza.
Yep. And they're all healthy, but delicious. Doesn't taste healthy at all. My most recent company is called Tushy. Go to hellotushy.com. And then my books, I started Thinx, Superior-Proof Underwear.
We didn't even talk about your books.
Yeah. So that's fine. So my first book is called Do Cool Shit. And it's you know, the subject, the tagline is quit your day job, start your own business, and live happily ever after. And so it's really about entrepreneurship and lifestyle design, how to design your life and business in exactly the way you want. And then my most recent book that just came out this January is called DisruptHER. Go to DisruptHER.co, not .com, DisruptHER.co. And you can see a video of me being birthed out of a vagina, which is like the launch video of the book. You'll especially love that, Mark. And
sounds great.
Yep. And DisruptHER is really about it's a manifesto for the modern woman, and it really is looking at all of the societal preconceptions that are holding us back and that are keeping us small and that are preventing us from talking about things like money and relationships and, you know, our career path and the culture of stuff and why we always want more and more stuff. Like it's just such deep indoctrination, how we have to get serious as we grow up and how we have to stop living in a childlike state of curiosity, playfulness, and awe. How we have, you know, talking about the patriarchy, feminism, talking about, you know, all these things are so taboo. And it's just like, how can we completely disrupt all of it and allow ourselves to face every category of our lives with the most authentic, powerful, lit up way possible?
Thank you so much. I'm so fired up right now. And I just want to say, just like to close, I'm really excited for this world that we're entering where there are more women leaders, more women entrepreneurs. Women have taught me the most in my life. And I think that like, that's what we as a society need. We need to move into the empowered feminine. And that's going to be the catalyst for change here.
Yes, I love that. Yeah, and then my social is just, I only do really Instagram at Miki Agrawal, and then you can put that on the ground at mikiagrawal.com.
And you get to see Hero. He's adorable.
Yes, he's really, and he has his own Instagram handle too, but check it out later. Yeah, all right. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
thank you for listening. I hope that you enjoyed that episode, and I hope that you're enjoying the podcast. It's been a really fun ride so far. I just get so excited every time I meet some of these incredible people and just love sharing their stories and ideas with you all. You can learn more about the show at thelookuppodcast.com. That's THE, lookuppodcast.com. You can follow me on social media at Wark Meinstein, WARCMEINSTEIN, on both Twitter, Instagram, and Medium, and Facebook. We have a Facebook page for the show as well, The Lookup Podcast, on Facebook. So check us out. You can also subscribe to our mailing list on the website for more future updates. If there's anything from the show that you want to catch, I've posted that in the show links for you to check out. And if there's any way that I can improve, please let me know. Feel free to reach out. If you have any guest recommendations, please let me know. Other than a couple of individuals who are helping me out in the background, this is a passion project, and I'm always open to feedback and any kind of support. I want to thank Sam Palumbo and Patch Kid Music for the sound editing and the intro and outro song that he created. And I want to thank Hello There Collective for their support on my social media. You can check them out at hellotherecollective.com. All right, that's enough for me. I'm sure you're ready to go on to your next activity. Thank you for listening. And please come back again next week for another episode of the Lookup Podcast.